Reuben Langdon, great to talk to you, see your face finally after all the time we've communicated. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, George. Thanks for having me on.
What is the correct title, sort of, to describe your role in the citizen hearing? Producer, dishwasher?
I would say producer and fire putter outer. I had a lot of fires to put out on that one.
I want to get into the story of how you got involved in this, but first I want to jump right into the heart of the matter, and then we'll backtrack a little bit. You know, Congress held two hearings into UFOs back in the 1960s, one in 66, one in 68, and neither of those dug too deeply into the weeds, didn't really allow the witnesses to go where they wanted to go. Do you think that the citizen hearing that you produced could serve as a model for what a genuine congressional hearing in the future could be?
Absolutely, and that was actually the goal, was to sort of show the world that that's exactly what could happen, is if Congress took this topic, the UFO subject, seriously, then perhaps it could go something like that. We did, through all the fires being put out and everything, and by the end of the week, it did sort of run itself pretty smoothly, and now we have this awesome archive for the world to experience and see.
And what is your personal opinion on the likelihood of a congressional hearing into this in this context? As we know from the last, the media wave is still building. 60 Minutes is diving into the UFO pool this weekend, going to do its first ever piece. The New York Times has a column today in its continuing coverage. We know that there have been closed door congressional briefings for senior staffers and elected members, and they were convinced enough by the evidence that they saw, we don't know what that is exactly, that there should be a further inquiry. UAP task force gets created. How likely is it, do you think, given all that's been happening that you've been watching, that there could be congressional hearings?
I think we're heading in that direction. I think, at the time when we did the hearings, the citizen hearing, the Congress members and especially Senator Gravel, he was adamant that Congress was a lost cause, that we shouldn't even be wasting our time there. And he was talking about going directly to the UN. Now, after different things have unfolded through the UN and these sorts of things, I would say that's probably not a good route either. But we're in a different time now. We're in all of these disclosures have been happening. As you said, 60 Minutes, the media is actually now sort of warming up to this idea and concept. So we could see something, I think, in the very near future. Marco Rubio is doing his good deeds, and we'll see if he can stir things up and get enough interest. I wouldn't be surprised if that was probably the next card that falls.
Can you describe sort of the evolution of the citizen hearing, how you became involved first?
Yeah, actually, through our mutual friend, Jeremy Corbell, he introduced us to some other friends in the UFO community. And then it sort of, the idea sparked. And at the time I was running a production company, a visual effects company, motion capture. I did a lot of that work on Avatar and in the video game world. So I had this, I guess I had, the facility and the team to put together not just the hearings, but video production around it, and work on a film around it. So that's, I guess, having the company, having that clout. When then Thomas Clearwater came in with the investment, he saw that we were doing other things, and I guess he believed in us, trusted us, and said, "Here you go," and we had a pretty sizable budget, and it was amazing that one guy was able to come up with that.
I mean, I don't know what the total cost was, but this was expensive. So many moving pieces and parts, and all these witnesses over several days, and then the members of Congress, you had to get them there. Can you describe what was Thomas's reason for doing this, and how much did he end up spending, or can you say?
Well, initially it was a $1 million investment. That's we had sort of packaged it as a return on investment would be made. That was the idea. The concept was that this was going to be a enough media was going to come onto this, that there would be, we were hoping to build this momentum that's actually happening now. We were hoping to do that, in 2013, but that was the initial investment, the initial cost that we had budgeted everything out. We had also budgeted out enough money to do a film, which Jeremy was to direct, called The Truth Embargo. And I guess I can talk about this now. It's been so long. The only catch was Thomas gave us the money, not in cash, but in silver bullion. So we were kind of did the numbers and did the math, and he's like, well, here, I can give you this, I can gift you guys, or not gift, but give you guys the money for this project, but
in silver.
In silver. And the catch is it has to be minted in order for you to sell it, because it was like a big chunk of silver.
Wow.
And he had, I guess, his reasoning behind it at the time, I think he was just getting turned on, so to say, with the information, maybe having his own experiences. He never went into too much detail, but I think I think his family came from some oil money or something, so he had some money sitting in the bank, or in the silver bullion bank, and wanted to do what he could to contribute. And so he said, hey guys, here's the catch. Are you guys willing to do this? So what we had to do was have a third party, actually, as they would mint the silver, then we would sell it, and then that was our production money for the project. Until literally like 2 days before the hearing, silver took the largest dip, I think, still today in history. And then that, which made our a good 15%, almost 20% of our actual budget got wiped out overnight. And that essentially was the production film budget that we had allocated. The money that we had allocated for the film was now gone overnight.
Well, it'd be nice to have that big pile of silver right now, given what's happened to the prices. Yeah.
We're seeing the raises getting back. It's almost back to where it was at that time. I think it was like close to $30 an ounce around that time.
Can you give us a lineup of how who the cast of characters is? How many witnesses? How many members of Congress? How tough it was to get those former members of Congress involved in this?
Let's see. There's over 40 witnesses, and spread across the world. There was many coming from South America, and I wasn't so much in charge of handling that aspect. I was more in charge of the National Press Club budgets. So with the witnesses part, I didn't really handle that. The members of Congress actually were gathered together in a very short time, thanks to I'm trying to turn that sound off. I apologize if it's coming in, but the Congress members were pretty much found and gathered by a gentleman named Joe Buckman, who's been pretty active in the UFO community. And thanks to him, we got the members sort of at the last minute. He had some ties to some of the political parties. I think he had ran for Congress in the Libertarian Party at some point, so he had some connections and things. And he was pretty much the sole person responsible for getting all the Congress members. And yeah, it just sort of came together at that time. We sort of had set the date. It was a little ambitious, considering we were dealing with silver bullion, and my production company, which had some liquidity with funding and stuff, but it really got out of hand really fast when silver took a dump. So it was sort of scrambling to try to make the show go. And then we were like, well, we'll figure it out later. Unfortunately, silver never came back, and the film never was able to come to fruition.
But you're sharing it now. We'll get into that in a moment. Looking back now, you've been editing the testimony for the new project that you've put online. When you look back at what you've already edited, what's the most impressive testimony to you? What things stand out for you? Give a couple examples.
Wow. Considering the time we're in, there's a lot of talk about media suppression and why isn't the media covering this? And I remember during the hearings, you're probably the only guy out there really that's doing any real reporting on this. Well, I should say up in the past, 10 years or so, 20 years, that's done any real reporting on the subject. In my mind, I thought this was going to be a game changer. We're doing it at the National Press Club. We have this clout of former Congress members, one senator, all of these former military and government people. I thought there's no way the media is going to be able to ignore this. And day one, we got ridiculed. We were, there was a lot of small little blurbs and news snippets of, making fun of the project. Later in the testimony, this comes out. Some of the Congress members addressed it. And then by the end of it, I remember we were so excited. Because it was pretty devastating when you're in the middle of it and you're putting your everything on the line, my company, my livelihood, everything on the line to put this on, and to get this
snickering
and laughing and nobody taking the issue seriously, which we thought this was the ultimate. If anything's gonna make anybody take this subject seriously, this is the format, this is the way to do it. And it was not working. So it was pretty frustrating at the times, to say the least. So as we're going through the hearings, by Friday, we had a friend who had a friend at the New York Times and invited him down. And I think this was like on the last 2 days, maybe, finally came down and finally sat in a few of the hearings, a few of the sessions. And then finally, that Saturday morning, sort of on the back page of the Saturday morning paper, we had a little blurb, a little write-up in the New York Times, which was the first time the New York Times had ever said anything semi-positive about without completely snickering it. They didn't snicker it. They sort of said, something's going on here, maybe we should pay attention. Nothing like the 2017 article. This was that was really the big door opener, as you know.
One of the witnesses that jumped out at me, of course, is John Callahan, the former FAA guy who was there for a really remarkable case, Japan Airlines case, where the pilots encounter this gigantic acorn-shaped object that the skeptics tried to describe as, well, they mistook Jupiter or something like that. But the FAA had evidence. They had hard evidence, and John Callahan testifies about somebody from the CIA coming to get it, right?
Yeah. Callahan's testimony was super powerful, just because he's a no frills guy. He just tells it as it is, and I think he's told the story quite a few times, and he just was like, all right, I'm gonna just get it out there, and it was, again, but his testimony came in day 5, the last day of the hearing. So the Congress members were already pretty much on board with what was going on. It's great to see their transformation. So I recommend everybody to watch from day 1 all the way through, because you can really see how the Congress members, the questioning, the transformation that goes on through their way of thinking, and you can tell by their questions, by their reactions, of this realization that there is something going on. Governments, our government especially, have been hiding it for so long, and it's real. It's fascinating to watch them, because I know my own transformation over the years, from 2007 to now, but especially in those early years, when you come to that realization that there's something going on here, and we're not alone, that is, you usually don't see it in yourself, but to see that moment in other people is quite something. And you can see that in the hearings. You can see that through this 5-day testimony. So getting back to some of the other powerful testimonies, what I was saying was this media embargo, this media projection of what this subject matter is, which is transforming now tremendously in a very rapid rate. At that time, I did not think it was going to be so difficult. I guess I was naive. I didn't know that there was just a non-interest, or all the laughing and ridicule that was going on. I knew about it a little bit, but I guess I hadn't been in the field long enough to really experience that. So I felt it then, and I was like, man, I poured my heart and soul into this, and there's really something going on here as far as just the complete lack of coverage. We had Lee Spiegel there, not there, but he was watching the live stream, and he was doing some good reporting with the
Huffington Post.
The Huffington Post, right? That was probably the only legitimate reporting that we had on the whole event. You, of course, covered it as well. On the I team in there. But Al Jazeera did a little piece, but most of the mainstream media, if they did cover it, it was more making fun of it, mocking it, not even coming close to the seriousness of what we were trying to do. However, now, different era. So that's why
we should do it all over again then.
I think we should.
Let me ask you this. Can you describe sort of the plans for what you're doing with it, what you will do with it? You boiled it down, edited, put it in bite-sized chunks that are consumable, and in essence, it's like an encyclopedia of the UFO mystery and secrecy surrounding it. And I think that by the end of it, if people watch all of it, they'd be up to speed.
I think so. I think I always say it's the ABCs of ufology. If you really are new to the subject and you want to get into it, I know it's still a lot to digest, 32 plus hours of testimony, but it is riveting when I've seen it a million times. So I still get sucked in. I'm sitting there editing, and then I stop editing, and I just hit the play button, and I get sucked into the testimony. And again, I guess what I was trying to say earlier, now more than ever, we can really understand not just the subject itself, but this truth embargo, this media hesitancy to cover the subject matter. Back then, it was not taken as seriously, but now we're seeing with the censorship that's going across all of our social media platforms and everything else, it makes there's more correlation to what's going on now than before. And I think people can see it now clearer than before. So it was a big question at the time was, well, why would the media, if this was real, it was hard for us to believe that our media would deceive us. And now we're in a point in time where enough silliness has gone on. So I think people can actually see, oh, okay, I see now why something as secret as the UFO subject matter would not be covered in the media in the way it should have been.
So originally the plan was to produce a film that would be distributed to the world. Now you are putting it on YouTube for free, episode by episode, right?
That's it. Yep. I think I had worked rigorously over the summer to sort of re-edit and up-res a lot of the footage, and to just clean it up really for a new release, not really knowing exactly what was going to happen or when, and all of these disclosures that we're experiencing now. So it kind of became the perfect storm for this re-release in the with all the disclosures. And yeah, to put it out there, to create this library so people have a reference point if they're curious, and after seeing these disclosures that the great reporting you and Jeremy are doing, there's now this awesome library that can just go back, and it's available to everybody on YouTube. Nobody has to, you know, go and sign up and pay through the pay portal and all that. It was really thanks to Tom Clearwater and his generous shift. He basically said, yeah, guys, go ahead and now's the time, let's do this.
So you're putting out what, an hour piece each week?
They average from an hour to, some of them go a little over to about an hour and a half. I think one or two goes full, almost like closer to 2 hours, but the general sessions that we had during the day. So each day composed of 2 morning sessions and 2 afternoon sessions. And they were about, like I said, about a little over an hour to 2 hours, and little breaks in between. And then we would break after the morning sessions, we would break for lunch, and then we'd come back and do the whole thing again. And each one has sort of its own focus on, each session has its own focus on either a different event, like with Callahan. That particular panel was more focused on pilots and what pilots see. And we had some military pilots, but we also had just regular commercial pilots, and that's where John was able to tell his testimony. So so yeah, each one sort of has its own subject, its own focus point with the various witnesses. And those were some grueling days as far as just they were fascinating, but I actually didn't get to sit in the hearings that much. I was busy running around, you know, putting out fires. But it was a powerful week. We had some interesting people show up. I think in session 1, a lot of people have already commented. Minister Farrakhan was in our audience, and we had some comedians. We had all kinds of interesting people, I guess, who were local to DC there. Sort of, we had opened it to the public, so they would show up, and it was fun to talk to them behind the scenes.
So the first 3 episodes are already posted. Citizen hearing on UFO disclosure, they're up.
Yep,
and
they're
then
up.
What day of the week do you post the next one?
Every Friday at 12 noon. We sort of set it to auto release, and I like the last Friday I was able to get on the chats. Jeremy got on the week before. We're going to try to continue this sort of either a tag team where we either both get on the chat when it's released, and yeah, take people's questions and comments. And it's sort of a fun Friday afternoon thing to view if you have time.
What's coming Friday?
Let's see, the next one.
Sorry about that.
yeah, let me double check. It is I think it's going more into, yes, Truth, Lies, and Cover Up Part 2. So a lot of the kind of the day one really sets the stage. It's about the history, about the cover up, again, going into the media cover up and why the media is doing what they're doing, and or had done what they did. And that sort of sets it all up for the last day. It's the last session of the day, and then we start the following week. We get into Rendlesham Forest and some of the more specific events.
Reuben Langdon, thanks for sticking with this and all the hours and hours and days and months and years of work. Can't wait to see the next episode. And there's an interactive quality, as you said. People can chat back and forth, and it's a great time to release this, because it's a lot of people are just now getting focused on the UFO topic, and this is a great way for them to catch up on the history of the subject and the secrecy surrounding it, the media disinterest for so long. And thanks to you and to Thomas and to Jeremy for putting all this stuff together.
Well, thanks to you for getting the word out and for doing all the awesome reporting you've done over the years. Back in 2013, as well as all the disclosures you could continue to uncover and report on.
Well, big stuff coming. Thanks, Reuben. Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you.